The receipt fluttered in Lila Moreno's trembling hand like a quiet insult, the bold zero printed where hope was supposed to be, and for a moment the daytime diner felt too loud and too bright, as if the sun itself had chosen to witness her humiliation. The billionaire had already left, his tailored suit disappearing through the glass doors, leaving behind a spotless plate, a zero tip, and a familiar ache in Lila's chest that said she wasn't surprised at all. This was how days went when you were a single mom balancing exhaustion and faith on a thin thread, serving smiles you couldn't afford to feel. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet miracles that change lives, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to One Heart Stories, because stories like this remind us why compassion still matters. It was just past noon, sunlight spilling across the vinyl booths of Harborview Diner, catching dust in the air and highlighting the cracks in the floor tiles that Lila had memorized over the years. Daytime shifts were harder in their own way, full of hurried lunches and impatient customers who never noticed the person refilling their coffee. Lila wiped the counter slowly, forcing herself to breathe, reminding herself that rent was due, her son Mateo needed new shoes, and tonight she still had a double shift at the grocery store. She had learned to keep moving, because stopping meant feeling, and feeling meant breaking. The man had arrived alone, calm and observant, his presence somehow heavier than the other customers. Lila hadn't known who he was until another waitress whispered it behind the counter, the name Ezra Calloway, the tech billionaire whose face lived on magazine covers. Lila had treated him like everyone else, attentive but invisible, refilling water, clearing crumbs, hoping for a tip big enough to cover bus fare. When the check came back with nothing, the familiar sting rushed in, mixing with shame she hated herself for feeling. She folded the receipt carefully and slipped it into her apron, because dignity, even when bruised, still mattered. As she reached for the plate to clear it, something stopped her. There was weight where there shouldn't have been, a subtle resistance, as if the table itself was holding a breath. Beneath the plate, taped neatly to the underside, was a folded envelope. Lila's heart thudded, suspicion and curiosity colliding. She glanced around the diner, but the billionaire was gone, the door swinging gently as another customer entered. Her fingers hesitated before peeling the tape, the envelope warm, as though it had been waiting for her specifically. Inside was not cash, not a check, but a handwritten note on thick paper, the ink deliberate and steady. Lila read it once, then again, her vision blurring as the words settled into her bones. It wasn't an apology. It was recognition. The note spoke of watching her move through the diner with quiet strength, of noticing how she tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear before smiling at strangers, of understanding what it meant to survive without applause. Tucked behind the note was a small card with a number and an address, and beneath it, a simple sentence asking her not to give up on herself. Lila sank into the booth, the daytime chatter fading into a distant hum. Memories rose uninvited, of nights spent counting coins at the kitchen table, of Mateo asleep on the couch while she filled out job applications, of promises made to herself in the dark that tomorrow would be better. She had learned not to expect kindness from people with power, because disappointment hurt less when hope stayed small. Yet here it was, unexpected and fragile, cracking something open inside her. The rest of the shift passed in a blur. Lila tucked the envelope safely into her bag, touching it every so often as if to make sure it was real. When she clocked out, the sun was still high, the day warm and ordinary, but the world felt subtly altered, like a door had opened somewhere she couldn't yet see. At home, Mateo greeted her with a sleepy hug, his laughter grounding her, reminding her why she kept going. That night, after he fell asleep, Lila finally dialed the number on the card, her hands shaking, her heart loud in the quiet room. What followed didn't happen all at once. There was no overnight miracle, no sudden wealth raining down. Instead, there were conversations, opportunities she had never imagined, a scholarship for a hospitality management course, childcare support, and a mentor who saw her potential beyond the apron she wore. Ezra Calloway never became a savior in her story, he became a reminder that someone had seen her, and that sometimes belief was the first step toward change. Months later, Lila stood behind a different counter, managing a small cafe filled with light and plants, Mateo doing homework at a corner table, the daytime sun warming everything it touched. She still worked hard, still worried sometimes, but the fear no longer owned her. She had learned that kindness didn't always look like cash on a table, sometimes it hid quietly under a plate, waiting for the right moment to be found. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that even unseen struggles matter, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to One Heart Stories, because your engagement helps keep these stories alive and reaching others who need them. Before this story ends, we have one special request for you. Please comment below and share what kindness means to you or a moment when someone believed in you when you needed it most. Lila never forgot the receipt with the 0 on it, not because it hurt, but because it taught her that value isn't always written where we expect it. Sometimes, the thing that changes everything is hidden beneath what looks like nothing at all, waiting for someone brave enough to look.